Welcome, friends, to the United Lodge of Theosophists, Washington, D.C. area, located in Moore Green, historic area of Manassas, Virginia. Today we have a talk on Theosophical Symbolism. We welcome everyone, and before we begin the talk, I'll read the Declaration of the United Lodge of Theosophists. The policy of this lodge is independent devotion to the cause of theosophy without professing attachment to any theosophical organization. It is loyal to the great founders of the theosophical movement, but does not concern itself with dissensions or differences of individual opinion. The work it has on hand and the end it keeps in view are too absorbing and too lofty to leave it the time or inclination to take part in side issues. That work and that end is the dissemination of the fundamental principles of the philosophy of theosophy and the exemplification and practice of those principles through a truer realization of the self, a profounder conviction of universal brotherhood. It holds that the unassailable basis for union among theosophists, wherever and however situated, is similarity of aim, purpose, and teaching, and therefore has neither constitution, bylaws, nor officers, the sole bond between its associates being that basis. It regards as theosophists all who are engaged in the true service of humanity, without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization, and it welcomes to its association all those who are in accord with its declared purposes and who desire to fit themselves, by study and otherwise, to be the better able to help and teach others. The true theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and all. And the following is a form that can be signed by those who choose to be associates of the United Lodge of Theosophists. And it says, being in sympathy with the purposes of this lodge, as set forth in its declaration, I hereby record my desire to be enrolled as an associate, it being understood that such association calls for no obligation on my part other than that which I myself determine. Before we have the talk, there'll be a reading from the Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 9, Devotion by Means of the Kingly Mystery. Krishna is speaking. All this universe is pervaded by me and my invisible form. All things exist in me, but I do not exist in them. Nor are all things in me. Behold, this my divine mystery. Myself contained, causing things to exist and supporting them all, but dwelling not in them. Understand that all things are in me, even as the mighty air which passes everywhere is in space, O son of Kunti. At the end of a kalpa, all things return unto my nature. And then again, at the beginning of another kalpa, I cause them to evolve again. Taking control of my own nature, I emanate again and again this whole assemblage of beings without their will by the power of the material essence. These acts do not bind me, O conqueror of wealth, because I am as one who sitteth indifferent, uninterested in those works. By reason of my supervision, nature produceth the animate and inanimate universe. It is through this cause, O son of Kunti, that the universe revolveth. The deluded despise me in human form, being unacquainted with my real nature as Lord of all things. They are vain hopes, deluded in action, in reason, and in knowledge, inclining to demonic and deceitful principles. But those great of soul, partaking of the godlike nature, knowing me to be the imperishable principle of all things, worship me, diverted to nothing else. Fixed in an Unbroken vows they worship, everywhere proclaiming me and bowing down to me. Others, with the sacrifice of knowledge in other ways, worship me as indivisible, as inseparable, as the spirit of the universe. I am the sacrifice and sacrificial rite. I am the libation offered to ancestors and the spices. I am the sacred formula and the fire. I am the food and the sacrificial butter. I am the father and the mother of this universe, the grandsire and the preserver. I am the Holy One, the object of knowledge, the mystic purifying syllable Om, the Rik, the Saman, and the Yajur, and all the Vedas. I am the goal, the comforter, the Lord, the witness, the resting place, the asylum, and the friend. I am the origin and the dissolution, the receptacle and the storehouse, and the eternal seed. I cause light and heat and rain. I now draw in and now let forth. I am death and immortality. I am the cause unseen and the visible effect. And now the talk on Theosophical symbols.
Then alpha and omega. So the talk will be on alpha and omega, and one of probably the core theosophical symbol that is contained a point in a circle, and we'll get to the point in the circle. Alpha and omega is the first and the last letter of the Greek alphabet. Alpha is the first, omega is the last. And when we hear alpha, I am alpha and omega, the first thought would be, and I will make this interactive session. What would be the first thought? Anyone from the participants want to share? What is the feeling like? I am alpha and omega. Who is speaking? Why they're saying I am alpha and omega? First, who is speaking?
Krishna? Someone like Krishna.
No, it sounds like the kingly mystery.
Yeah, the divine voice. I am alpha and omega. As above, so below. So if the divine voice says, I am alpha and omega, be it Krishna, be it Jesus, be it any deity that expresses itself as alpha and omega, so below. So I am alpha and omega. And we'll take this in the context that it may be divine, it may be we are who are also alpha and omega. If we translate this into the English alphabet, it will be A and Z. So this is Greek, alpha and omega. The Hebrew will be aleph and omega, and English will be A to Z. So if we want to say it in a colloquial language, it will be I am A and Z. And when you say it in a language that we understand today, I am A and Z, well, I am every letter of the alphabet. That's the immediate thought. I am everything in the beginning, and I'm everything, not only at the end, but everything that happens between A and Z. And if you put all of the letters and words between A and Z, that's the entire universe of expression, life, being. So that's going to English. We'll talk a little bit more about the meaning of the alphabet and how alphabet was expressed in ancient language, because it was quite different from the modern languages. So if we look at the alphabets of Hebrew, Chaldaic, or Persian, each letter of the alphabet was a word. It was a meaning. Right now we have a letter that may be A, B, C. It's just a letter. It holds no meaning outside of being combined with other letters to create a word. But in the ancient alphabets, each letter was a form and a sound. And I'll write the form and the sound for aleph and omega. So this is aleph, and this is omega. the study of symbols is very difficult to be expressed in words, in our words of our language, because you really have to feel the symbol, the letter, and it is a very individual practice. So preparing for this talk, the student feels humbled and confused how to convey such a deep meaning of the symbols, but we'll try our best here, maybe jointly. So the alpha, symbol of alpha, was an entire meaning or an entire word, an entire symbol of its own. And what alpha was meant to mean, it had a form and it had a sound. So in ancient languages, form will be more of a sort of the expression and meaning of this letter, and the sound will be the power of this letter. So if you want to understand the meaning, you look at the form and see what that symbol carries for you. And if you want to feel the power of the letter, you sound the letter. And the aleph is a very interesting letter, because this is what when we say it openly, this is what we breathe out. It's ah. It is the word that basically a breath coming out. It's all of us breathing something out. So it is a projection, it's causality. We are expressing that word. And another interesting thing about alpha, ah, is also what babies say with their word. They go, ah, ah. So ah is literally an expression of the breath of breath. It's the out breath. And the other interesting thing about the word is that what it symbolizes is the origin, the source, the causation, the power of causation. Alpha we've adopted in English language, what means dominant. So we can say an alpha animal, an alpha man, an alpha woman, what basically means dominant and above others. What is the right from its true meaning, but it's actually not a correct meaning, because alpha in its esoteric meaning means a causation. If you're a causation of action, of reality, of state, then you're alpha. If you're not a positive force, if you're a receiving force, then you're not alpha. There are also different connotations attached to aleph and alpha. And I would like to ask participants what resonates more, aleph or alpha, and what do you feel about either? What is alpha? When somebody says alpha, what does it feel like? And when somebody says aleph, what does it feel like? And this is literally a feeling. We're feeling the symbol now.
I mean, alpha has a context in language now, right? Like the alpha of a pack of dogs, for example, right? It's the pinnacle or the most, dominant. Yeah.
But alphabet comes from alpha.
Yeah.
That's why I think that.
Aleph to me sounds more foreign or esoteric or something like that. If you're talking about feelings.
Yes, yeah. Same. Aleph sounds more of some kind of a divine force, something esoteric, and alpha became more colloquial. But it's the same word. Alpha became more colloquial because it comes from Greek and we adopted it, and aleph is Hebrew, and I guess it became more of a remote from us. But it is it's basically the same thing. Now, the other interesting thing is that now we'll go to Pythagorean studies. In Cortona, Pythagoras was teaching that everything is expressed in numbers and equations, including letters. So each letter also has a corresponding number. And each number is also a vibration. So things vibrate at a certain level, and they express through numbers that describe that vibration. And each letter would also hold the number and a vibration. So letter R, aleph, would hold a vibration of 1. So this is aleph. Aleph will be 1. And when we think of number one, it is a beginning of numbers, and it's basically origin of all numbers. And all numbers will be resulting from combinations of one and in infinity. But one is basically a causative force, a causative number that states that this is one, this is the beginning. And also, we'll return to this, one is also a point. We're starting with stating that this is one, this is the beginning. Later, the same notion of numbers was further expressed and developed by the Kabbalist teachings that assign numbers again to everything, and there was a deep meaning behind numbers. And the relationship between letters and numbers was considered a sacred science, understood only by the few sages. So we can touch on it, but without an in-depth study, it is really difficult to understand fully the meaning of each number and its correlation with the letter. But it is, again, beyond rational understanding. It's literally looking at the symbol and understanding that this is the causative one. And you literally feel that this is the beginning, the it. It's not yet the materialized world, but it is that source of one from which everything will proceed in the future. And there is a beautiful reading on Alpha and Omega. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. And that's from Revelations. So it's the beginning of the end. It doesn't say beginning of what? Beginning of everything and end of everything, and the first and the last. So it's literally it's A and Z and everything contained in between. And the other reading is this, that when we spoke of letters and numbers, that letters written or spoken, both form and sound, awaken potencies and forces through which cosmic forces operate in the world of manifestation. So there is a greater meaning to the letters and to the numbers. It's literally a portals through which the greater forces manifest in our world. It is literally a formulas of understanding of cosmic forces. We'll talk a little bit more about Aleph or Alpha. It is the original word, and when we think of original word, basically it is the first that was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. This is the original word. That's the meaning. And you wonder why exactly we have in Christianity that statement that first there was word and word with God, and then word was God. It doesn't say the word was God. It was with God, and then it was God. So the word that is spoken here is the Logos. It is the word Aleph. It's A. It is the causation of the universe. And when we look at it from this perspective, it is literally the cause, the life germ within the egg, within the universe. So it is the causation of all, and that's the Theosophical first principle. It is the causeless cause that is the beginning and the end, and contains all. And it's unexplainable, and it is expressed in alpha, in number one, and in a point. So those are the three symbols that basically are contained together. Now, the other explanation of the Aleph or A is the breath of Shiva. That's the other way that we'll describe. And it's the breath behind the breath. And when we think of what is the breath behind the breath, it's again, as above, so below. It's the macrocosm and the microcosm. It's the breath behind our breath. It's an emanation of us. And it also was explained as a monad and as a reincarnating ego. The good description of this again can come from the Bible. God breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living soul. So breath of life, breath behind the breath, or the original word or the first principle, also leading to a monad and reincarnation of us. So this is the point where we begin. And again, we are alpha and omega. It's the beginning and the end, and it's everything that is in between in our cycles of reincarnation and in the cycle of the entire universal existence. The next one that I want to talk about is the omega. And omega is the last. But it is not just the last, it contains all. It is basically a vessel. What comes to you, what kind of feeling comes when somebody says omega? Anyone wants to share? We hear it so often, but what exactly is it? Anyone online? Any feelings about that omega?
I think something, hello, from the streets of New York. I think something interesting to reflect on, though, with Alpha and Omega is that it's nonetheless very binary, and it nonetheless insinuates that there is a beginning and the end. And I think that, I don't know, I think that also the story of Alpha and Omega reflects a certain moment in human consciousness and human first of all, the proposal that there is an end is a pretty brash one to begin with. However, at the same time, I think that the tale of Alpha and Omega nonetheless very much is helpful in the realm of three-dimensional reality, where by our perspective there are beginnings and ends. So, like everything, it's more of a poetic thought than necessarily an impermeable law of reality. Yeah.
Okay. So this is very interesting. So what comes to mind is that it is an end. It's the last letter, and it's sort of counterintuitive because we know that nothing can really end. We have the law of cycles. So the omega, expressed in the following symbol and also a circle, is an end and the beginning. So it is a circle. It is basically the containing infinite and endless space. So infinite time and endless space, that's what is omega. But it has no manifestation of life. It's not manifested. For omega to be manifested, there must be an aleph. So when you look at omega, it is basically a spirit in manifestation. And when A is the causeless cause, so this is what is causing manifestation, and omega is what is containing manifestation. So this is causing and this is containing. So literally, the aleph is a causative cause behind existence, and omega is what is holding what is spirit in manifestation. Infinite in space and infinite in time. And also it is expressed in two interesting ways. So basically, alpha, a causative cause, is expressed as father, and omega expressed as mother. So between the alpha and omega, when the deity or us saying I am alpha and omega, I am both the cause and I am the container for that manifestation. I am the father and the mother. So it's a unity of two, and it's spirit and matter in unity, and two poles of being. So this is quite an important concept because in many different religious traditions, especially in Christianity, the omega was dropped. It just became the father. But omega and the alpha and omega cannot really exist without each other, because without alpha there is no causeless cause that projects into the universe, and without omega there is no space, no form to manifest. So both are needed for our manifested universe to exist. Another interesting paradigm is that often letters are interchangeable. So when you look at the ancient alphabets, the A often replaced with O, then there is the, TH with Z, V with W, and also A often replaced with I. And it also carried out in use of letters in English. So for example, when we look at the exchange between A and O, for example, song, there will be O, then sang is A. So the interchangeability of letters changes the noun, verb, or the tense relationship. The same carried out in the ancient alphabets, and very often A would be replaced with O, or especially I. I would be the most common one. And when we look at replacement of A with I, you can see the beginning of lots of names of divinities, such as Yehovah. It wouldn't be J, we replace it with J. Yehovah, Jesus. So it would start with AI interchange. The next relationship that is quite interesting is between, now we'll go into numerology. I'm running out of space, but it is quite an interesting relationship. When we look at Aleph, it's 1. When we look at Omega, it is expressed as 0. So Omega is expressed as 0 because without Aleph, it cannot become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or any number, because it is potentiality. It is just a container for causeless cause to act. So it is 0, but it contains all of the numbers in it. And all the numbers can come from 0 and resolve in 0. But without a beginning number, it really just is 0. So when we hear I am an alpha and omega, and both, I'm neither just one of them, and this is again the big problem in the spiritual traditions that dropped omega, dropped the mother side and the 0. Then it becomes 10. So 1 plus 0 is 10. So this is from numerology, from Kabbalistic teachings. So alpha and omega together are expressed as 10, and the 10th letter of Hebrew alphabet is Yod. And that's a very important letter, Yod or Yota in Greek. Any associations with Yod? Probably we've heard Yota, Yod. Anyone online has any feelings about Yod?
Yoda.
Exactly. Yoda is coming from the same. So what can be that Yod?
Knowledge, teacher, wisdom, peace.
It is basically in the Hebrew alphabet, it means the best in the symbology of it. It is the monad. It is the incarnation. It is Yod. It is it. It's the beginning of manifested reality. If 1, alpha, is the reality behind reality, in which all reality expressed, Yod is this point of expression. So it is the unity of alpha and omega. Yod, basically I am. And in the Masonic tradition, Yod is all-seeing eye. So it also has very deep meaning. And here is the reading that I wanted to offer from the HPB, from Secret Doctrine, Volume 1. It is from this number 10, creative nature, the mother, the occult cipher, or zero, ever procreating and multiplying in union with the unit 1 of the spirit of life, that the whole universe proceeds. So here she describes the relationship between 0 and 1 and resulting in 10, from which the entire universe proceeds. So this is quite fascinating to see how this goes from the study of the ancient alphabets to numerology to Pythagorean theories about the relationship numbers and letters to Kabbalistic understanding of letters and 10 and the coincidence of 10 being the Yod. And this is exactly what HPB is writing, that basically it is the number 10, the creative nature, where the mother, 0, and the spirit of life, 1, are procreating the universe. So that's on the numbers. Now there is yet another fascinating symbol of Tetractys. And Tetractys is basically 10 yods. That's what it means. I'll draw the Tetractys. So Tetractys is a triangle with 10 points. So those are all yods, and they are contained in Tetractys. And it is a very, very deep symbol. Once again, there can be a whole talk on this symbol, but to be explained very simply, so each yod is alpha and omega united, created in the point of manifestation. The very first one is basically the aleph. Then we can call it aleph, the causeless cause. Then it is a duality. Then it's a trinity and quadrant. So each have very deep meaning. And actually the next talk we'll have on the symbols will be about duality. So that's Tetractys expressed in 10 yods, and each yod is number 10 or unity of alpha and omega. And this is also called the Tetractys, also called a mystical decad, basically a number of points that is exactly 10. And now we will go to a theosophical symbol that expresses all of this, and this is the circle with a point. We've seen it on the Theosophical seal, and we're well familiar with it. So this is yet another representation of the words alpha and omega, letter 1 plus 0, and it's basically expression of these two in the geometry. So the alpha is the point. It has no dimension, it has no shape, it has no form. It's just a point. And all that comes is coming from that point. This is basically the beginning and source of all forms that will come from the point. And it contains all manifestations that the circle can contain if they are manifested. And again, the circle, the omega, is a circle. It's infinite. It's just the end, and it is the beginning. And when you look at 10 and the circle, it's completion of beginning and end that is being repeated in cycles. That's the meaning of the circle. The other way to hold the point, that is, we often see it in secret doctrine, it's called that. So it is that, it's an eternal causeless cause, it is the root principle, it pervades everything, and it exists, it exists in spirit and matter, and it's the first emanation of absolute. So that's the meaning of the point, or number one, or Aleph. Then there is another meaning of the point, because once you make a point in space, it's the first limitation of space. For the first time, you define the space. Until there is a point, there is nothing defined. It's basically a primordial soup. But with the point, for the first time, there is a definition of that. And the space is limited by that. It's expressed. And it's also the first limitation of self. That I'm limited to this. And this is one of the things that we as Theosophists work on, is expanding that limitation that we may put upon ourselves. That it can be, I am Alpha and Omega, and you define it as someone who goes to work, comes back, eats dinner, goes to sleep, or I am Alpha and Omega. And you can take it to the extent possible within the circle of manifestation. Again, for us, it's difficult to be outside of circle of manifestation. It's something we just cannot understand yet. Then the other interesting thing about looking at this point, you can also view it as an expression of the absolute, the island of absolute in the unlimited existence. So you literally can imagine it as an island of absolute. But absolute is permeating everything, and it's not explainable, and it's not something that we can limit, but it is that island that is in everything that we express as a point. Now, going to the circle, it is the no number. It contains all numbers resolve in it, and the best probably way to define the circle is it is the boundless space and endless time. So even though there is a limitation of space, it's just a limitation of manifestation in the cycle, but that space is boundless, and the time in it is also infinite. It may come to the end of the cycle, but then the next cycle would begin again. So when you look at the entire concept, it is important to note that Alpha and Omega is basically everything that contains in esoterical teachings. It is from A to O, it is the letter 10, it is the causeless cause, it is the first principle, it is the birth of the monad, it is the cycles. So it's really one of the primary symbols in Theosophy and in esotericism. And it can be expressed through the word, such as A and O, Alpha and Omega, Alpha and Omega. It can be expressed numerically, and it basically 1 for Alpha, 0 for Omega, 10 for I am Alpha and Omega. And when we say it can be expressed numerically, that means it also can be expressed vibrationally. It has a vibration because any word holds form, that is meaning, and sound, that is vibration, the power. So it's expressed both vibrationally and numerically. And the third way to express it is it's expressed geometrically as the point and the circle that we're most familiar. But all three concepts are the same and should convey to us the beginning and the end, the causeless cause and the manifestation, the spirit and the matter, the mother and the father, And at the very end, I am that, who I am that. I am Alpha and Omega. That's probably the most important to feel and understand, that we are that as well. So any questions about any of this? I know this was fairly dense.
It sort of seems like between Alpha and Omega, I keep going to like Om, because there's the A that begins it, and the O is the, when someone's forming the word Om, it's when the mouth is fully open, it makes an O, and it's the entire span of manifestation. The M is just the closing of the mouth, ending the sound. So I keep returning to it. Alpha and Omega also seem to contain Om.
It does, because when we think of how we actually pronounce Om, we start with Ah, we open that out breath, and then it sort of ends like So Om ends with O, like almost Omega. It is yet another way to, it basically the Om is the sound power of Alpha and Omega. So if you pronounce it through Om, it contains that sound power. And again, all these vibrations have impact. It's basically cosmic forces manifesting through those things in our manifested world. So that's why Om is such a powerful letter of word, because it does express all of that.
Yeah, all the entire package.
That package.
Yeah, and also, I think I've heard somewhere that 10 is considered like the perfect number. And then after 10, the digits just repeat themselves. Between 1 and 10 are all the digits, and then after 10, it's just different formulations repeating itself. So I can see how 10 contains the beginning and the end. It's interesting how that.
Yeah, that was interesting too. That was new to look at 10.
Well, 10 is a different quantity in different base numbering systems. Not to get too technical, but like in binary, you go from 0 to 1 to 10 because you don't have any other numbers to work with, right? In hexadecimal, you repeat. The power of the 0 is where the cycle repeats, regardless of the base numbering system. So the same principles still apply, even if you had a base 16 numbering system like the Mayans, right, or whatever that system is. To us, it looks like 10. Yeah, 10. Like we think of 10 things, but it really is just the point at which the cycle repeats. It's where exponents begin. 10, 100, 1,000, but those are very different value quantities, right? So it really transcends just the sort of material counting of things. It becomes a much more, like bigger idea.
Very interesting.
The other thing that crosses my mind is that Omega ends with Alpha. Like Omega, there's a K at the end, right? So it's kind of
circle
already introducing the connection to the next cycle. Right?
The other thought that came when you spoke was, we never say I have 7 things to do. I have 10 things to do. The 10 things, and 10 represents completion. It's beginning and the end, and everything in between.
Right.
10 things to do. So it really even entered our sort of colloquial language, and let's say, very interesting. Yeah, that's correct. Omega is introduction to next cycle of Alpha.
You also mentioned like the baby making their first noise, and how Alpha is sort of the default sound. It's the sound of like the uncarved block. Right? There's no differentiation. Any other sound we make is just that sound, but with modifications. We move our tongue to a different place. We open our mouth differently. We introduce volume or prosody or sound different, like our breath. It's undifferentiated in any language. It's that sound. It's the is without any, like as soon as you go to ooh, it's you've moved your mouth somehow. As soon as you go to buh, you've put a percussive in front of it. Like there's only modifications after the so it's completely consistent with this idea that it's the first, it's the beginning. And it reminds me of that, like that idea of the uncarved block. Like the block itself is where everything starts. It's pure, it's undifferentiated, it's unmanifest. But then as soon as you start to make changes to it, it becomes. It's that process of becoming. It's also interesting that you can only get the sound then you introduce vibrations from your vocal cords. Like you can go, and there's nothing there, right? It's unmanifest until you, I mean, even when you whisper it with breath, you're still creating vibration through other tissue, right? That's the only reason a whisper has sound. It's not the vibration of your vocal cords, but it's the vibration of the air going through, the system. It's still if you just hold your mouth in that position, it's nothing. It's literally no thing until you introduce some kind of vibration by air moving, either over your vocal cords or through your,
Very true. Yeah. Fascinating. So the vibration is the beginning of the word. And it was very interesting to look at the verse in the beginning. There was a word in the light of this. That basically in the beginning there was the vibration of all breath. That's why I like the comparison between the breaths behind the breath of Shiva, and the first there was the word, and it's the breathing out of vibration. And then we saw that it's really you have to vibrate to say in every language.
If anything else is just potential. It's also interesting by this word iota, I-O-T-A, because we have an English word, right? We say there's not one iota of something in here, right? We use it to mean like not one particle, not one specific thing, not one even tiny bit.
Not one point.
It just has this,
Non-specific.
it has this, sort of generic, non-specific, like indivisible unit. Try that.
The yod.
But it comes directly from Greek iota.
Very
It's
interesting.
never, made that connection.
Yeah, the Tetractys is also a very interesting concept. One wants to dwell deeper in it, that it's 10 yods of 10 manifestations of Alpha and Omega united. So it's like 10 by 10. And all that's contained in it.
And it's three-sided.
It's three-sided, yeah. There's so much in the numbers and geometry that requires a lot of study. You usually don't know.
Yes, and if you look at Roman figures, it's also different from Arabic, what you use now. Interesting. Yeah, they are the symbols.
Yeah.
I always wondered why we adopted
Arabic.
for
That
symbols.
is Arabic, but
Where we lost Roman.
yeah,
Is it easier?
Roman is very complicated.
A big part of it is the Arabs introduced zero.
Yeah.
Roman was zero.
And once you do that, you have so many more
Potential.
opportunities for higher
Yeah.
mental math.
Yeah.
In Roman, only three figures: 1, 5, and 10. That's all. Unless the religions.
The Tetractys, I just noticed, is also it's 3 diamonds, which is the Mitsubishi symbol. So like the car Mitsubishi, or Mitsubishi more
Right.
but they're in Japanese Mitsubishi, just 3 diamonds. And if you take like the top point and go down and then back to the middle, and then up to the right and back to the top, that's 1 diamond. And then the bottom left, you go up, over, down, and left.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. One. This one's, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Three. Mhm.
yeah. So it's like 3 diamonds all tip to tip.
You're right.
Yeah, and that's the Mitsubishi symbol. I
You're
never
right.
realized it's a Mitsubishi symbol was the Tetractys.
It is.
It is.
It is. How interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Or the 10 is also the all-seeing eye in Masonic tradition.
Which is shown in a triangle.
Yeah, yeah.
I was brought back to the reading from the Gita when you talked about the word was with God and the word was God. That the deity, everything comes from this one universal principle called deity, and nothing's separate from it. But whatever happens in manifestation doesn't directly affect or change that pristine, primordial, antecedent cause. So
Yeah, that's I said so
it is-
interesting.
Yeah,
The difference. Well, it didn't say the word was God, it was with God.
and
So
then
it became separate. It became
came
but
up
it
with
was-
like a tool. I don't know.
yeah, it was something that God didn't became this separate thing, but then it was also God. It's almost like about us. We are that, but we are
We just
Where is that?
realize it that we are that.
and maybe we're both. We just need to be a word that is with God, but realize we're also God. That's an interesting one. You know, there's so many parallels between different spiritual practices, and just in this talk we've touched on Christianity, on Hinduism, on Kabbalah, on numerology, and of course Theosophy and the correlates. That's as the source.
Yeah, and all alphabets in Christianity at least begin from alpha and finish so different. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Different amount of letters, different letters has end.
Finish doesn't begin with R.
What?
Yes.
All begin from A, but all finish by different letters, alphabet.
Yeah.
Don't
Absolutely.
begin with R. Finish.
Different number of letters, different
Yeah, all it's
sounds.
all different letters, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the nature of manifestation, right? Things
Yeah.
evolve
But they
independently.
different one, you're right.
for that initial-
Yeah. Maybe it was first sound when baby say, really pronounces A. When baby will first sound when he pronounce.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But and it's different.
Yeah, it would be interesting to actually ask ChatGPT, is there a language that doesn't start with R?
Yeah.
No, maybe Japanese, I don't know. Maybe Arabic languages doesn't start. I don't know. Chinese,
Would be interesting. I don't know. Anybody knows?
It's always more to learn.
Yeah, if there is language that starts not with R.
I know that the one in Chinese, one sign means whole word.
It's the same in the ancient
Whole word,
language,
yeah,
yeah.
that's why.
And here I did mention basically A is also was called like the bull. It was associated with Taurus, and this is basically the force. So that was basically a bull. And Omega is the not full circle. I don't know why not full circle.
Yeah, in a way, it's not full circle too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a circle. It's something to look into.
Yeah.
So if there are no more questions, we're going to stop here and then we'll continue with the study.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So in the Tetractys, 1, 2, and 3 represent the monad, duality, and triad, right? Do you see any relation between that and the Greek alphabet, alpha, beta, or gamma?
Between
The Tetractys 1, 2, and 3, right? 1, 2, and 3 represent the monad, the dual, triad, and triad, right? Is there any, can this also be represented by the Greek alphabet?
Uh-huh. Probably. Yes. I,
Alpha, beta, gamma.
Yeah.
kappa.
alpha, beta, yeah. Interesting. Yes, alpha, beta, basically 2,
Mhm.
second 2. I think so. Not my area of knowledge, but sounds like yes. Alpha, beta. What about Sanskrit? Anything in Sanskrit? Anybody familiar? I'm trying to go back.
Sanskrit's a little rusty.
But alpha, beta, gamma, yes, that's what it is. What is after alpha, beta, gamma?
Kappa.
Kappa. Kappa and quadrant, I don't know.
Mhm.
But the first 3, yes. Okay. Okay, I think then we'll close and continue in at 12:10.
Thank you.
Thank you.